Hello and welcome everyone to Beyond the Scoreboard podcast. Our first official episode today, we delivered on our promise. Alex Rowley, Emily Rixey doing the work behind the scenes. Our first guest is our awesome sports information director, Nick Astalos. Nick, thank you for being with us today.
Sure, appreciate you guys inviting me on this.
Yeah, this is a huge honor because if you guys listen to my sports commentary at all, you know I claim to be from Northeast Ohio all the time. So Nick, also from the area, which is super cool. I got recruited to play tennis here. Nick, how did you end up at Capital?
Yeah, so funny story. Actually, Capital was not what drove me to Columbus. It was actually my wife, who's from Hilliard, and then came down during the pandemic as well. So actually found this role during the pandemic, and it was a very interesting kind of first 4 months there. I was working a full-time job, also covering over here as well when they were without an SID for a couple months. But for the most part, it was kind of came to Columbus, set my roots with my wife, and then ended up at Capital, and it's been great ever since.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, because I remember when I was an athlete here freshman year. Well, now you have an awesome assistant, Brendan. He's great.
Yeah.
He does a lot of good work just like you. But back then when I was a freshman, 2021, 2022, you was just you.
Yeah.
You were all by yourself. You were writing all these articles. We always sent news to you, sent scores to you. And, we just knew, like, even our coach at the time who's no longer here, he's just always like, dude, just take it easy on Nick. Like, the article will come out eventually. Like, he does so much. So how was that first time not having Brendan? Was it, like, stressful, or were you like...
Yeah, so it was about a 3-4 month period or so there where it was literally just me while I was also working my full-time job.
That's crazy.
So, I would leave work at 3:30 or so and then come over here and cover an in-person game and then go home and write recaps until 11.
That's ridiculous.
At night or so. So it was quite the chaotic stretch there. But after that, once they brought me on full time in June and I left that other role, things got a lot easier, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And then Brendan actually started part time with us in August, so it was only a couple months there where I was truly a lone wolf. And then it was about a year and a half or so, and then Brendan became full time, and it's been truly a blessing to have that full time role, especially in Division III athletics.
Oh yeah, for sure.
In what we do, but I can't say enough good things about Brendan.
He's awesome.
Does us a wonderful job. He's the mind behind the graphics and a lot of our content on social media, and does a nice job as well with all the other responsibilities of the role. So
yeah, Brendan is great, but I can remember you were pushing out 3 articles a day because busy season of sports.
It still happens.
Yeah.
It still happens at times.
It's just
sometimes we do 3 of each other, 3 of our own, on the same day.
Oh yeah, it's a lot. But also, I'm obviously a play-by-play and color commentator. She's a photographer. Technically, you're both our boss. So you have a lot of roles here. You're like people's bosses. You write articles. You post things on social media. Like, you have a lot of responsibility here.
Yeah, so the day and age of a sports information director being the guy that shows up, takes stats, writes the recap, and goes home.
That is way over, yes.
Actually, we're one of the few that are still called sports information directors.
Really?
In fact, the role is kind of more encompassing a director of athletic communications.
Gotcha.
It's more encompassing of the writing, the media relations, the social media, doing things like this, overseeing photography, broadcasting.
Right.
I mean, it's an endless road. So it's really the jack of all trades within a department. They ask us to do a lot of things, and at times it's very fun and at times it's very stressful. But the end game of being able to put on what we do for student athletes is what keeps us going.
Oh yeah, and like you do it so well. Like even when I've had a question about the women's D3 basketball ranking, shot Nick a text. Within 2 minutes, he texted me back with the precise answer to my question. I'm like, this guy keeps up with everything. So lots of respect coming there. But also, you were also named to the, I believe it was the 30 under. It was something, I apologize for not knowing the name, but you were recognized. It's a very good award. The OAC posted about it. I saw that. Yeah, it's much deserved. How did that make you feel?
I appreciate that. It was really rewarding. It was the College Sports Communicators 30, which is our governing body, formerly COSIDA, if people know what that is. But that's more name brand recognition. They recently rebranded, but out of my rabbit hole. So it was very rewarding to be included in that. I mean, there's so many people across the country that do really good work. And then not only just people across the country, let alone, and then you think about us at Capital,
Mhm.
to be recognized, it is a testament to the work that
Oh
we do,
yeah,
and that
absolutely.
people actually kind of recognize it because, sometimes with us being a small school in the Division 3 mindset, like sometimes we get swallowed up, especially with
Mhm.
Ohio State right down the road.
Yeah.
But what was fortunate about that is Ohio State had a staff member in the same class as me. So it
Wow.
was like really, really cool that two of us from Columbus who worked together
Mhm.
a lot, got recognized at the same time. So
Yeah, that is awesome.
yeah, it
Wow.
was really rewarding. And it goes back on the work that Brendan does to help me,
Mhm.
all of the student workers who assist us and even the administration, Dr. Bailey and Dustin
Mhm.
who do a lot to support the efforts that we do. And then all of our coaches and student athletes who make it easy for us to do what we do.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And like I said a couple of times, I was a former athlete here, and it's had its ups and downs. But that one steady thing was you and Brendan always like. And I have two funny stories about Nick. My two favorite Nick stories. One time last year, I believe, in this fall's tennis season, we weren't having the best season. We had an invite, a DePaul invite in Indiana, and nobody won a match the entire weekend but me. And Nick did not note my win in my match, so I emailed Nick. I said, "You need to put this in." I won, and Nick fixed it to his credit immediately. So
Hey,
he's always on that.
some of those tournaments, the
No,
result files are hard to read.
Oh
So
yeah, no, the tennis was super confusing. Like the scoring, if you don't get like one rule, I totally understand that because like there's stuff about the games I call I don't fully understand, but you got to write full game recaps about them,
yeah,
so that's hard. And then another one, our last year, our coach Caden, our temporary coach, interim coach, right,
you know,
right. Yeah, we had a media day at the beginning of the year, like where you took pictures for graphics and all that. And Caden approached Nick and said, like, could we do another media day? Or like the guys might be asking for it. And Nick just goes, why? Because it's like, yeah, we had 4 guys or 5 guys at that point. We didn't need any more pictures. We had maybe 3 matches left. Valid question when he's trying to balance all these sports. Yeah, so it's like tennis, men's tennis is no longer here, but we did introduce bowling. So that's super
yeah.
exciting. Do you see like the trajectory of Capital Sports on the up right now?
Yeah, I do. And honestly, you mentioned men's tennis.
Hmm.
Right now our plan is for that just to be a hiatus.
Wow.
The plan is to bring in a new coach to oversee our tennis program
Oh,
at the
that is
moment.
awesome.
The plan is to bring them in, kind of manage our women's team at the moment, and
Hmm.
then just jump on the recruiting trail. And as soon as we can, bring back that program. That's our plan.
Hmm.
Obviously, things can change, and the administration will make those final decisions. But from what I've been told, that's the plan is to
Wow.
keep things.
That's awesome. That's great to hear.
On the horizon.
Mhm.
And then, but yeah, you talk about bowling. They're gonna close up shop on their inaugural season this weekend.
Yeah, they get recruits. They post about recruits. Their coach,
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with him. I haven't met him yet, but he's going to work. Shout out to him.
Yeah, Coach Gordon is killing it on the recruiting game, and he just landed his top recruit
Awesome.
the other day from I think it was Lake High School up in Uniontown, but
Mm.
I can't. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he landed his top recruit. He really is killing it. He's bringing in a lot of recruits, and that's the name of the game right
Mhm.
now. We're supporting the university's mission and what we do with recruiting, and our coaches are all pulling in the right direction on that front, and trying to hit their optimal roster sizes that they see fit to
Yeah.
be a successful program in their individual sports.
Yeah.
It's each sport demands something different,
Mhm.
and our coaches kind of have set their targets, and they're all pulling for it. So it's something that I don't do. I don't recruit.
Right.
But so I don't envy them for the
Oh
work
yeah,
they
it's
put
hard.
in on that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's good. You gotta be quite the salesman.
Yeah, for sure. And that's awesome to hear that men's tennis is coming back because it is sad to not have it this year. But, just a small hiatus is great because another one of our OAC opponents, Marietta, cut their program for good.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, I heard about that.
Mhm.
But from everything that we told, our goal is to keep it going.
That's awesome.
Obviously, we ran into a rut with the roster size being what it was.
Yep.
So, it's the best decision is just to kind of pause
Mm-hmm.
and bring in a new coach and just try to reset it and start the recruiting game over again.
Yeah, it was absolutely a hard thing to do because, like you said, a lot of tennis teams at this level, not to go on this tennis tangent, obviously I play tennis, but they do one coach for both teams. And it was hard to do because we had Coach Winters and then we had a couple of coaches on the men's side. So it's hard to do that at the small school, trying to balance both, going to a park, trying to get court. So it was a hard situation. But yeah, I feel like once we can go back into that kind of one coach oversees all players, then Capital Tennis can really get back on the straight and narrow. But yeah, it's a super exciting time, with our new sports coming up, and that's very, very exciting. So, Nick, you yourself went to a small school like Capital, I believe Malone University.
Yeah, Malone University, small school in Canton, Ohio. We were Division II though, so
Oh, a little bit bigger than us.
well, not by size. Really the only difference between the two schools was that Malone could give athletic scholarships and Capital can't. That was really about the only difference. But very similar size campus, similar enrollment, similar small school problems when you think of trying to keep those enrollment numbers up during times of struggle.
Right.
So very similar schools, very similar program offerings. Nursing was big at Malone. Business and sport management, what I studied was very big there.
Yeah.
Education, very similar things that Capital has to offer. So very similar schools.
Yeah.
Really the only difference was the Division II versus Division III.
Well, yeah, I've never, because even like I said, I'm from the area too. I've never heard of Malone until I was looking at your bio for this interview. But yeah, I mean, you kind of that. I feel like that would help. I don't know. I'm not you, but I feel like that would help kind of understanding the small school vibe. Yeah. And when you come here, you kind of get what the athletes and the coaches have to go through. Because if you went to like OSU or Kent or Akron, it's kind of like a different stage. Like it's like a business for them. For us, it's kind of like we always call ourselves volunteers, but it's not like that. It's kind of for the love of the game at some points, but now in like the bigger schools, they get paid like NIL deals, and like that's possible at D3 as well, but definitely not the same level. So yeah, has that helped you, like coming from a small school working here? Has that helped you understand more?
Yeah, it has. And honestly, our sports information director, who was there at the time, Mark Banker, was a mentor of mine for a while.
Shout out to Mark.
So he kind of introduced me to the profession, kind of helped guide me in some things, and then I talked to him when I was looking into the profession when I was going back for my master's degree, and he provided some good guidance and things like that. He's now since retired, much deserved for him. So, but he was definitely a big reason why I got into what I'm doing now. So, a big shout out to him, like you said.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just understanding what small school, sports are all about. I played soccer, so
there you go.
I knew what it was to be a student athlete at a small school, where we played at a soccer field that, just had a small little metal bleacher sitting next to it for fans to come to. And, it is what it is. Like, that's what I wanted.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't want the big city or anything like that.
No,
so,
yeah.
The cool thing about Capital when it comes to location is we're the small school in a big city.
Exactly.
So everybody loves that aspect and how you can get downtown in 10 minutes.
Exactly.
Canton was a great town, but it didn't have a ton to offer like Columbus does.
Right.
So I think Capital has the upper hand on that in terms of location. So big thing there. And I wasn't too far from home, so my parents were able to come watch and,
that's
that
awesome.
Sort of thing. So yeah, there's a lot of good things there. And then obviously working in their athletic department, I kind of pulled some things out for what it means to work in small school athletics. So, like you said, it did a lot of things to transition into my role now.
Yeah, that's really awesome because, like you said, like D2 is kind of in that middle ground. Like there's D3 where there's a lot. I think it has the most schools in the country at the D3 level. I think it's 200 something, and then there's D1, obviously like the big money makers, and D2 kind of gets overshadowed a lot of times. Like I can name a lot. Obviously, I go to a D3 school, so I can name D3 schools and D1 obviously, but like you said, Malone, Ashland, that's kind of where my D2 knowledge ends. So those athletes get overshadowed a lot.
Yeah. There's a lot of good programs, especially in the Great Midwest Athletic Conference where Malone plays. Malone, Walsh, Ashland, Findlay.
The Cedarville in there? That just came to mind.
Yeah. Thomas Moore's in there now. Kentucky Wesleyan, Trevecca Nazarene.
Okay.
There's a whole bunch. Ursuline on the women's side.
Oh yeah, that's up. That's a Northeast as well.
Lake
yeah.
Erie out in Manor. So yeah, there's a lot of schools that do, like you said, maybe get a little overshadowed, but they pack a punch.
Oh yeah.
They recruit very far and wide, and they get a lot of good student athletes to go to those schools, and they're very competitive.
Yeah.
And then you think about like Michigan especially has a lot of state schools that are Division II. So,
right.
Grand Valley State, Saginaw Valley State, like those schools are 20,000 plus students, and they've got the D1 facilities for D2 schools. So they're just pumping, national and regional championships out of those schools like crazy. So it's very competitive, and they get a little overshadowed when it comes to media attention and that sort of thing. But for the most part, it's a very fun and competitive nature at Division II.
Yeah, yeah, like yeah, D2. Just like you said, they also do sports scholarships. So some of the top tier athletes go to D2 as well,
Yeah.
or like that lower tier D1 as well. So
Yeah.
now we got to the. Oh, sorry to cut you off, but we got to the sports information stuff. Now a little bit of the fun stuff that nobody knows about Nick. So if you had to, I know you love your job and stuff, but is there one sport here at Cap that you like covering a little bit more than the others?
Oh,
If you
geez.
had to pick
I
one,
get asked that question a lot.
really? Oh,
I don't know. A lot of my student workers ask me that and that sort of thing. And, you know, I like all of our sports in their own way. I've got a certain affinity to soccer because I played soccer.
there you go.
But do I like covering it more than other sports? It has its ups and its downs when it comes to working a soccer game. But, there's some other things that other sports have to offer. I really like the speed of basketball and volleyball. I like sitting at a ball field, baseball and softball. I like sitting there and taking those stats. It's a fun time. Lacrosse is very fast, very physical, high scoring games. So those are enjoyable. Even our sports that I'm not there taking stats are fun to watch as well. Like golf, I might not understand exactly what's going on, but it's a very like technical and very thought provoking sport where they have to kind of read the greens and
it's
sort
a
of
lot.
thing. So it's really cool to watch like student athletes kind of process their sport, and especially like when we host a track meet, and I'm there now doing the announcing.
Yeah,
it's really cool to watch like the kids get in their mindset right before the gun shoots off, and it's a lot that goes into it that's not just physical. There's a lot of mental things that go into sports. So it's cool just watching our student athletes embrace that mental space and their physical competitiveness and just get after it. So, kind of every sport has its own offering to me, and there's really not a sport that I don't like.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a parent picking their favorite kid. So
it's hard. It's hard to pick a favorite. Everybody's got a plus.
I can't blame you.
Everybody's got a down. So it's hard for me to weigh one versus the other. So
yeah, it would be kind of crazy if you're just like, basketball. But yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. Like when I came to Cap, obviously I knew the big sports. My favorites: football, basketball, and then I played tennis. But I didn't know too much about volleyball. Like I had the high school experience of calling games. But beyond that, like lacrosse, like watching our successful lacrosse team is awesome. Yeah. Like if I didn't work those games, I'd go to them because they're so good.
Yeah.
And it's really fun to just see kind of new sports. Like you said, golf, like I play golf, but I know nothing about like the competitive side of golf. And I feel like that can kind of bleed into the student body as well as you, like, because I know like you don't know everything about every sport. And then you came here, it's like, wow, this is cool. So yeah, that's exciting. And then, all right, second fun-ish question. So, you are from the Northeast Ohio area, but you have been in Columbus for a while. Do you have any pro sports allegiances? Because you're usually strictly business when I talk to you. You don't get into the Knicks, just kind of like hobbies and personal stuff.
Yeah, being a soccer guy ever since I was young, Columbus crew's been close.
There you go, yeah.
Even before moving to Columbus. So that's a big one. It hurts. Their best player just got transferred.
I heard that, yeah.
It's a little bit, but that's all right. We'll hopefully replace his goal scoring abilities and keep on where we're at. And then Cleveland, obviously the Cavs are ticking right now.
Right.
They're a fun team to watch. I was fortunate enough to be a front office staff member the year that they won the national championship. NBA Finals.
You worked for the Cavs when they won the ring? Did you get a ring?
I do have a ring.
That is ridiculous. I didn't see. We don't know this until we have this.
Yeah, so I do have a ring for the Cavs NBA championship in 2016, and I spent some years working with the Cleveland Browns as well. And there's this picture that my mom gave me when I was working there as an intern. And it was a picture of me as a little kid wearing a Browns jersey.
Wow.
And then it was the picture of me that she took when she came to one of my events. And it was really cool, the full circle moment to be a part of those teams. And now having worked for them, I've got a certain affinity for them as well. And being from Cleveland, it's in my blood to root for the hometown team.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, the Browns have their struggles on the field.
Yeah, for sure.
But I'll still rock the brown and orange.
Oh, yeah.
And that sort of thing on Sundays. And, Brendan and Dustin, my coworkers, are both diehard Bengals fans. So, we kind of
SMH
poke at each other quite a bit during football season. But, it's all fun and enjoyable. And, at the end of the day, doesn't really matter.
Oh no, yeah.
Now, if Cleveland ever wins the Super Bowl,
And then it'll matter.
ever win the trophy again, I'm going to be the first one celebrating. But at the same time, like it is what it is when it comes down to that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a great point. Like you said, people can get so wrapped up in that, but at the end of the day, it's like there's not much like we can do about it. Like, we can be sad, we could be upset, but at the end of the day, it's like. And then like I noticed like you said, two big Bengals fans. Columbus, I feel like is more Bengals fans. I believe that could be the Super Bowl appearance the past couple of years, but it's right in the middle. I feel like you could pick, and to be honest, I don't know why you would pick the Browns. But, so I've noticed a lot of Bengals fans.
The Browns, they told me that we have the largest of any NFL team. We have the largest fan base across the world.
That's what I've heard as well, yes.
When it comes to like people that register their fan allegiance, that's not to say that that's true. But, they've got this Browns Packers club.
Yeah.
So they said that was the largest like registered, fan base in the world. So, it was cool to be able to manage that and be a part of that. But, for the most part, it was just, like you said, we're kind of right there in the middle between Cincinnati and Cleveland.
Yeah.
So,
you kind of get the best of both worlds there as well. And like you said, if you weren't doing so good here, you should probably finish the 3 off, go get a job with the Guardians. They could use you. But yeah, so.
Yeah, that's all right. I do like the Guardians when it comes to baseball. They're my team. I do appreciate watching them play, and of course, locking up Jose Ramirez for a while there with the big extension a couple of years ago was crucial, and now they got a lot of young talent. So now we want to just continue to hold on to that.
Yeah,
leverage a young and quality manager that they got.
Yeah, very active off season for them, as well as the other teams in town, up north. But yeah, like you said, the Crew, they're doing great. Like you played soccer growing up, you played at the D2 level. That's one of the sports I'm kind of unfamiliar with in terms of like professional. But the Crew, I was at the championship game. I was working there raising money for our tennis program. I was doing security. So they won the MLS Cup. Yeah. And that's their third or second in history, I believe.
That was their third.
Yeah, that's crazy. Thinking of a team getting, championships is awesome. So shout out to them. I did see they lost Hernandez, their best player, which kind of stinks, but I feel like they'll rebound. But yeah, so
hope so. We'll see. They don't have a plan in the works. At least that's what the media says. We'll see what the front office comes up with. I know the fans are dying to know what's next.
Interesting, yeah, because this Crew also newer stadium. It's lovely. It's great downtown.
Yeah.
They kept the old one too for other venues and stuff. It's just like you said, Columbus is such a growing city. What I always say is Columbus is kind of jam packed, and it's like it doesn't fit 1 million people, but it's getting up there because it has 1 million people in the area, and it's not really. There's always traffic, always jams, always this, but yeah. Like Capital is right on the edge of that, so
yeah, it's an awesome city. We have folks like the Greater Columbus Sports Commission, who bring high level events to Columbus, and Experience Columbus group down there that brings a lot of festivals and that sort of thing downtown as well. It just highlights all the good that the city has, and I think there's a really bright future for the city. And I know the folks at the Sports Commission who we work with closely on several events are busting their tails to continue to bring new and exciting sporting events to Columbus, and I think it's just going to be a place to want to be for a while.
Yeah, and Capital is no stranger to that too. Last year, the women's Final Four for D3 basketball was here, and like going back to like the Capital lineage, like the coach I believe for Transylvania is a Capital alumni.
Yeah, she was at that time. Yeah, she's moved on to Division I now.
Where does she coach?
She's at Marshall University.
Wow, I see. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that was very, very shortly after they played here in the Final Four. She moved on to that role, but much deserved. They were undefeated for a few years.
I don't remember. Did they win the national championship last year?
Not this year.
Oh, okay.
They ended up crashing out in the semifinals to the NYU, who eventually won.
Yeah, NYU, they're dominant in both men and women's as well. They're usually top of the ranks.
Their women's team is number 1, the men are number 2.
Yeah,
right now.
see, that's just dominance. But yeah, it's great because Capital gets to host this, and Capital's always making changes, always having like great like people that come back to work, like Matt Spitz. I love Matt.
Yeah.
He worked with me, you brought him in to do commentary for football.
Yep.
Super knowledgeable. All-American kicker.
Yep.
Played for Capital.
Yep.
He's in, I think he works for the place you just mentioned, the Greater Columbus.
He serves as the vice chair on their Emerging Leaders Board. I actually just just wrote a story about that because there's Matt, the vice chair, and then Colin Wiggins.
Yeah,
Who's
he's a
the
Capital
chair.
Soccer
Yeah,
alumni.
yeah, he graduated from Capital as well. So it's really cool that Capital alum are now kind of getting involved in our city and
Hmm.
staying close to Central Ohio and having a role
Hmm.
in a very important seat at the table when it comes to kind of making decisions at that level and what's the future of our city. So
Yeah,
yeah, Matt's a great example of a Capital alum, and I've been fortunate enough to get to know him. Like you said, he served as a color
yeah, he was
commentary
great.
guy with us for football this year, and just I know the what he pours back into Capital football and our athletic department as a whole.
Mhm.
Great example of somebody that just loves Capital. So,
Oh yeah,
I'm sure there's plenty of other folks out there, but like you
exactly.
said, Matt just has a way to kind of constantly remind you that he's there just by his generosity
Yeah.
and just his great nature, personality. So yeah, perfect example of there.
Yeah, that's the kind of feel you get with Matt because when we won that game against Wilmington last game of the year, our quarterback Ben Owens was taking a knee. Matt was peeking out the window with his phone, taking a picture. So yeah, I mean, people like alumni who come back to serve love Capital, and it's a really great thing to see because even my 3 years here as being a student athlete, there it had its ups and downs, but I can say I enjoyed my time here, and I definitely would
Yeah.
love to come back at some point, like you said, potentially a men's tennis coach. I mean, I could toss my resume in there. I'd be a great fit, anyways. We can talk about that off camera, but yeah. So yeah, that's really good. I mean, there's like I said, Capital's on the up in all sports. Like a couple of years ago, like the football field didn't even have lights, so.
Yeah, it's a really good future for Capital Athletics. Like you said, everybody's on the up and up. We're kind of getting out of our last toe out of that COVID funk,
Hmm.
and that kind of slowed things down for a lot of teams and a lot of schools. But we're kind of dragging our last toe out of that. Everybody's, like I said earlier, kind of recruiting their butts off and working hard to bring in a good quality teams that they want to take to the next level. And women's basketball right now is on
Yeah,
the cusp
they're
of,
doing
of a really
amazing.
good postseason run here coming up with the OEC tournament. I think they locked themselves in to host a
Oh,
first
that is
first
awesome.
round OEC
Y'all need to
tournament
come to
play.
that,
So
bro. For real.
so they'll get to host at least the quarterfinal, if not the semifinal,
Uh,
at least for the OAC tournament, and then their future at that point will depend on how how they finish that OAC tournament and how
mhm.
they possibly might sneak their way into the NCAA tournament. But I think they've done enough to deserve that. So we'll see what the NCAA says.
Yep.
Track. Couple records have been broken.
Yeah,
Lots of top
I noticed
tens.
that.
They're doing real well as well. Men's basketball, not having the results, but they've had a lot of close games.
They fight
they've
every
been in,
time.
that they've
Every
been in.
time.
They've got one tonight that we're about to go
Yes,
toward,
tune in. Well, I
and
mean, they're gonna hear this later, so there's no point. You can watch the
you
playback though.
yeah, yeah. So, it's just a fun time. I just spoke to our men's soccer coach earlier today, and he was really high on a recruit that committed, and
Awesome.
he's got a good number coming in. And, all of our coaches have something very positive going on with their program right now. And it's a very exciting time to be part of our athletic department just because, there's so much potential.
Hmm.
So now it's just finding our way to break through that potential and actually realize that potential. So,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of good to come, and we're going to be excited to be able to highlight
Hmm.
those positive moments. I mean, it's the nature of what we do, so we're going to look forward to highlighting anything that comes positive out of our department.
Yeah, absolutely. And D3 is at a level where there's so much coach turnover. Like you said, you could be second place in a national championship. They're just going to take another job. That's happened at Capital a couple times, and every coach I've talked to has been here at least great that I've talked to. And then, like you said, the track coach, he's a newer coach to
Yep.
Capital. He's doing a great job, like you said. They're always posting about new records, this and that. Got a D1 transfer from Louisville, so lots of. And the men's soccer coach, I believe, is newer, 2 years here or a year or something
Yeah.
similar to that. So that's great to see from Capital, building their teams up
Yeah.
after just doing coaches like that. But how
Yeah.
hard is it to like write one of those articles where it's like Coach blank is leaving?
Yeah, so everybody has their own reason. A lot of times a coach is looking for their next stop or a
Hmm.
reason to go home or something of that nature. So there's a lot of different reasons that coaches move on, but um, you know it kind of it's part of what we do.
That's true.
You look at Ohio State just won a national championship, and they've now got to replace 4 coaches
That's true.
already. So
Yeah.
like it's the nature of college athletics.
Yeah.
So everybody's going to have their reason, and there's nothing that that I can do to kind of say anything. But what I can do is just reminisce in the positives that took place and went under their watch, and just know that there's an opportunity to continue building on the growth and potential of that program. And a lot of our coaches do a great job in developing their teams, and that's something that we can just only set our sights forward is the ability for the next coach to come in and just continue that growth and continue that. So I think you mentioned a couple of new coaches. We've got a few who are within their first year with us, and it's actually an exciting time. We've gotten a lot of good things accomplished so far in a short period of time with a lot of them. A lot of them are being tasked with the recruiting game. So they're doing a really nice job with that. They're also competitive as all get out. It's exciting to watch their competitive spirit come out. So it's really exciting to be a part of and just kind of see where they could take this thing. And I like to think that we did a really, really good job in hiring. So
I think so too.
I think it'll be really exciting to see once everybody sets their feet under them and they get going in their seasons if they haven't already, and kind of where once their recruits come around and they've got some time to set their visions and that sort of thing, where their programs go. I think it'll be pretty exciting times for a lot of teams.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of coaching their first year. That makes you think about how crazy Coach Goodwin has been for the men's basketball team. I think this is his 30th season. He's on a leave right now to take care of some medical issues. So we hope he's doing okay. But yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine 30 years ago. Obviously, I'm only 22. He was here before that. So
Coach Goodwin is one of those ones that has shown a lot of dedication and passion and care about Capital, and and he's been rewarded with it. He's got 450 career wins, and
he's very successful.
He's way above the next as far as winningest coach in program history. I mean, his success has been nothing short here at Capital, and it's really exciting to kind of have somebody like that in our office as well. You talk about all these new coaches as well. Well, who are they looking to for leadership and leadership? It's somebody like Coach Goodwin who's been around for a while and has had really good success. So he's done a really, really good job of kind of passing on any mentorship and knowledge that he's got and how it works at this level and how Capital works and that sort of thing. And I think a lot of these new coaches are really feeding off of that. And, they're going to find their way to balance that advice and their own kind of thoughts when it comes to certain things. And I think, like I've continued to mention, it's just an exciting time period for a lot of these coaches. So, but yeah, to your point too, Coach Goodwin is doing well. He's still recruiting, still assisting the program, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I saw he got a little text recruiting. So I'm like, he's still working.
Yeah, he's still working. He just needed to take a little bit of time away from the sidelines to deal with some things. And but yeah, he's doing well. I've seen him in the office several times. He's still around, still part of the team. But Coach Golson has also done a great job.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Since he kind of assumed the interim role in Coach Goodwin's leave.
Yeah, you mentioned Capital's competitive. I mean, OAC basketball is a huge deal in the men's side. Mount Union's always in the Elite Eight, Final Four equivalents. JCU is always good as well. I have a childhood friend that plays in the OAC, and he always texts me. He goes, Capital is one of those games where no matter how good you guys are, you will fight till the last minute, and it will be close.
Well, I don't even know if it's just Capital. We do have that bit, but the OEC basketball is one where anybody can beat anybody on any day.
Yeah, that's why I love doing my commentary job. It's
Wilmington, who is 10th in the OEC, just beat Mount Union on the road at Mount Union, and Mount Union
really
top in the conference.
That's
ridiculous. They beat them on a 2-second left 3-pointer or whatever. So I mean, anybody can beat anybody on a given day. And you can't write anybody off. Capital is one of those teams that, like you said, will always give their all to the final whistle. But I mean, it's anybody can beat anybody. It's basketball feels like it's special in that way.
It does.
Every single game is just grinding.
Yeah,
especially in our conference. Like we talked about NYU earlier. Like they're beating teams by 40 points every game they go out.
Yeah,
at some point they're good, they're gonna beat everybody. That's a yawn fest. But like, for us, like every single game is competitive.
Mhm.
It's most of the game is within 5, 6, 7 points,
Yeah.
and then some of them get a little bit out of hand there toward the end, and when people are trying to push to get back, they miss a couple shots.
Mhm.
So be it. That's part of the game. But every single game is close. It's competitive. It's gonna be exciting all the way through that, and that's men's and women's.
Oh
It's
yeah.
actually really really enjoyable ball to watch.
Yeah, like earlier this, I believe late last year, we had a game against OWU, which is like a dominant women's basketball, who's still ranked. Capital down 9 halftime. I was calling the game. Me and Nick were like, well, me and Nick were there. Obviously, Nick's at every game, but I was calling the game a little bit into break. But yeah, Capital ended up winning it, coming back, winning that game. It was an electric game. And I
Yeah.
left. I said, he's just said, hey, you stayed for a good one. And I feel like every men's, women's basketball game I play, like you said, it's close, competitive. Anyone can win. Like speaking of Mount Union, Capital, me and Kurt Ashcraft, another great guy, working that game, calling that game, went down to the wire. So yeah, I mean, it's been just great stuff like that. And how is it like to like the women's basketball team has been good for a couple of years. Big shout out to Coach McPherson. She's done a great job. But how is it like reporting on those like really good teams? Like you get to also Grace Osborne and the women's lax team. Said you got to update those records. I feel like every game because
Yeah.
how is it like kind of overseeing that and kind of having like putting out stuff about those like
Yeah.
amazing teams?
The team, obviously the big moments, the wins, the records, the high scoring affairs, things like that are always easier for us to write about because
Yeah.
they're positive. It's easy for us to capitalize on those moments and to really highlight our student athletes and our teams in those moments. So like you said, it's so much fun. For example, you talked about our capital record book with somebody like Grace Osborne. This weekend they're going to play their first game of the season, and it's very likely that she's going to break the NCAA all-time scoring record. So they're going to have to rewrite their record book. We're talking something that's pretty historic.
Well, I'm glad you told me about. I have no idea.
She's got.
Is that like at all levels?
Yeah, it's like she's 4 goals away from tying, 5 goals away from breaking.
She might get that in the first 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
So
respect to the other team, but she's just insane.
Yeah. So she's a current active leader in all divisions, and the Division I record holder is active and behind her. So she's ahead of everybody.
Wow.
Once she breaks this Division III record, she's 4 goals away.
Oh, yeah.
So,
well,
yeah,
she's going to have another. It's her senior season,
Yeah.
so she has a lot of time to do that. I called some games with Jimmy, another great commentator here at CAP, where she had 15 points, 16 points. I know Grace one time gave me a ride to tutoring because we're in the same program. So big shout out to Grace. Obviously, we're best friends. But yeah, it's really cool to have people like that and moments like that on teams. It is really. And then like Coach McPherson's doing such a great job when the OAC dropped the stats and you see Brie O'Connor the season she's having. Points, assists, steals. It's like she's just ridiculous.
Yeah, and then you look at it too, like Samari Perkins is third.
She's also having a great
and
season.
And rebounding. So you kind of pick your poison. Capital women's basketball's got 2 of them right there at the top, and then you talk about the support players as well who do a great job in what they're asked to do, and their team is successful because of everybody that steps foot on the court. So, and on the bench. I mean, they all play a role, and basketball is one of those sports that you feed off of everybody on the team. So yeah, they're doing a really nice job, and I look forward to seeing their season end on a high note and see really how far they can take it this year.
Yeah, and basketball, or women's basketball more specifically, is kind of like Capital's historically dominant sport. So we have 2 national championships, some undefeated seasons in there. You can see the banners hanging in the gym. So, but when lacrosse is doing so good, it's cool to have 2 of those sports so you can be like, all right, like we're going to go have a day today, especially in your role where you get to write about it.
Yeah. So it's a fun time. And we find even in moments of loss and that sort of thing, like the nature of what we do is to find the highlights, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, at times like in a soccer game, somebody may break a record or set a career milestone.
Yeah.
Or same thing in volleyball or football. There's something that happens in every game that is positive.
Oh, yeah.
No matter the outcome of the final score, there is a positive something in every game. And that's the nature of what we do is to find that and to highlight it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's just part of the game, and that's no matter what the final score is, we're gonna find something
Oh yeah.
that highlights Capital and shows us off in any way that we can.
Yeah, and that's also, I mean, we're talking about a couple of sports. That's no slight to any of the sports I haven't mentioned. Like, Ben Owens tied the record for most touchdowns in a game. You were there. I was there. You came up and told us. We were like, whoa. So like you said, even in loss and even those sports that don't get the most coverage or the most popular, there's still great things happening. Like, and Coach Garcia for the coaching, he's done a great job.
Yeah,
Every year I've been here at least. He's a great coach. He's also a Capital alumni.
Yep.
Came back, worked for Cap. So big shout out to him.
And they tend to, just last year, I think it was, Keegan Billingham set a school record.
Yes, he
lowest round.
Yeah.
And he's back. He's still golfing. So it's really, like you said, everybody has some moments, and I know Coach Garcia is probably, if you sat down in a room with him, he's probably the most competitive person on our floor.
Oh, absolutely he is.
And he coaches a sport where there's no contact and no this, that, and the other. So it's really cool to kind of see the passion that he shows for golf and everything that comes out. You can see it. I mean, they play well year round.
They do.
And whenever they come up short, Coach will text us and really kind of show his passion and show kind of his frustration. But that's what you need.
Yeah.
You need somebody that's going to push you and want you to get better. And honestly, typically our teams respond well.
Yes, they do
on golf. Whenever they have an off round, typically their next round is really, really good. So it's cool to kind of see his passion and kind of what comes out of it in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, like Capital's starting to get some national recognition. Hosted the Final Four. Grace Osborne's about to be up on that leaderboard. And Coach Goodwin, NBA player, former NBA player, his son's in the NBA now.
Yeah,
all ties back to Capital in some regard. So
right. We got the men's, women's soccer Final Fours coming in 2026.
Yeah, that's very exciting stuff.
It's a good time to be a part of Capital, and like I said, we're just finding our way to break through that potential and really capitalize on it. So
reaching about 42 minutes here. Me and Nick got a game to do pretty soon against Muskingum. So by the time y'all hear this, y'all will be hearing about a Muskingum win for Capital. Anyway, last question, Nick. What are the odds that Alex Rowley gets in the Capital Sports Hall of Fame? I have maybe like 6 or 7 wins over 3 years.
Alex, I'll be honest with you. There's the policies in place. We got 10 years from graduation until we can
all right, I'll keep that in mind.
Athletes. So, but out there, if anybody out there wants to nominate anybody for the Athletics Hall of Fame, it's 10 years post graduation, 5 years once you stop coaching, and you can put a nomination through on our website under the Hall of Fame tab. So feel free to do so. We're always looking for great student athletes and former coaches to induct into that Hall of Fame. Yeah,
it's a loaded class and it's a very political answer, Nick. Thank you very much. So that's been Beyond the Scoreboard with Alex Rowley, Emily Rixey, and Nick Astalos. Thank you so much, Nick.